Hey guys, today on Firearm Malfunctions and Quick Reviews we will cover...
That is a stovepipe. You can't tap, rack, bang that. You have to actually make sure your finger. I always recommend drop your mag.
The reason why I eject the mag is because there could be a possible double feed. This will just make it easier and safer for you in the long run.
Clear it again.
On your older firearms, like the Browning High Power, you have to have a magazine to return the hammer down. I have an empty magazine inserted here, hence the reason why I dry fired it before I reholstered it. Alright guys, now that we're done with the range, that clearing out the firearm, it functioned, I was able to shoot a little bit more. These are definitely telltale signs that some maintenance does need to be done on the firearm, regardless of the temporary fix, which we covered while we were at the range. Now, of course, we never use live ammunition. When we're at the range, all firearms are checked, cleared. We're going to get to the maintenance part. First and foremost, when you have any cycling issues, stovepipe, double feed, your more common firearm problems, obviously there's going to be something wrong with your extractors or your springs. It's usually going to be the first two places you're going to want to look. Most likely, most of the time, it could just be a dirty firearm. In this case, you can obviously tell that the spring here is definitely not fitting how it should be. That's just an easy fix here. I buy a lot of springs, extra parts like that, because I am a gun nerd. So let me pull up a little guide rod here. As you can see, person that I bought this one from, I have multiple high powers, but this one, that spring does not fit. It is not a high power spring. About like that. But while we're at here and we have the gun taken apart, might as well take a look at the rest of it. Debris, that's common. You shoot your gun. Like I had stated, I shot this gun multiple times without cleaning it in hopes to get a stovepipe just so I could make this video. So that's the reason for it. But you look at the feed ramp on that, everything along the line, dirty. So, the easiest way to start on that, just a little toothbrush and just start scrubbing that soot. So it's also always a good time to check the rifling on your barrel, Look for any scratches, places where, could cause issues later on down the road. I never run the rough wire through a barrel. I don't want to jack the rifling, and since these high powers, the barrels aren't exactly cheap either, out of my budget. So I just like to do the soft scrub on those ones, maybe even some oil. Just make sure after you put that oil in there, you wipe that all clean out. I also recommend you take a look at the slide. You can see all the debris, from all that powder blast. Sometimes up in here, you can get buildups too, which can cause issues with your spring. As far as my extractor on this, everything is in order. Everything looks good on that bad boy, so we're not going to need to mess with that. But all that soot there, definitely get that cleaned out. That way, when the slide's kicking back, we're not having debris build up, or sometimes you can have a slide seize up depending on how much junk is in there. I also recommend always check out your firing pin. Make sure that area is nice and clean. You get buildup there, you're going to get light strikes, or you're going to have a delayed pin going out. It's not going to be hitting the primers as hard. Clean the slide, everywhere where your barrel is going to be seated in there. Make sure that's all nice and clean. That way you're not getting that extra friction from all that debris and dust and whatnot. When they designed these, these are all metal firearms. As tough as metal can be, we also have to take into consideration it's not perfect. It's capable of having flaws and whatnot, or oxidizing, rusting, just like everything else over time it does age. firearms tend to take some wear and tear on them, especially these older classics like your 1911s and your high powers and whatnot, on account of, they've been around forever. So we've got our replacement recoil spring, our guide rod pin, nice and clean barrel, all ready to go. Just put her back together. See, if you look at that fit on the spring there, that's perfect. That's how it should be, nice and light. Everything's all clean here. I put a little bit of oil sometimes. This one, not necessarily right now. We got her all set back together. Now, of course, Browning does have that safety mechanism. So for your hammer to go down, empty magazine. Of course, even though it's empty, I still check it. Always check it. And we'll take her out to the range and see how she goes.